All right, it looks like it started. Perfect. Then welcome everyone to our next webinar. Today we're gonna tackle, in my opinion, for sure, the most interesting topic that there is, which is optimizing the lead qualification and early stages of the sales funnel. I have two guests with me, Maria and Ben, who are very, very much qualified to talk about those topics. I'll give you guys the chance to introduce yourself in a second. Probably quickly introduction from my side. I'm Martin. I've been with Kamansky for quite a while now as senior revenue architect, background in marketing, and did a lot of sales myself over the last couple of years. So I do know, or at least I like to believe I do know quite a bit about those topics, but I'm pretty sure my two guests, Maria and Ben, know a whole lot more than I do. So with that, over to you, Maria and Ben. Please introduce yourself super briefly. Who are you? Who do you work for? And what do you do there? Maria, probably you can start.
Thanks, Martin. And I think we share that part of done a lot of sales myself as well. So I work at a Plus currently, and I've been doing sales there since 7 years. I was a BDR myself, an AE, then team lead, and currently I am senior director of our business development unit, which covers APAC and EMEA. So that's in a nutshell my experience and why I think I could bring some value to this conversation. Thank you for the invite, Martin.
Ben, who are you?
Hi, I'm Ben. Thank you for having me. I'm head of sales with Workflex. We're making it compliant to work from anywhere, for example, vacation and business travel, but also other things like commuting. And I'm I'm roughly 10 years in sales now. And I think I had the luck to be at the right time at the right places and was able to build some sales teams already. And this time I'm doing it for Workflex.
Sounds great. Sounds like we got the perfect squad here to talk about early stage. As I already said to you guys, let's have a very, very conversational webinar about this. Feel free if you have any specific topics that you want to dive deep into to speak up. However, what I would like to start with, because it's also a topic that we see a lot with our clients here at Kamansky, is the recent, and when I say recent, I'm talking about the last couple of years, 3 to 5 years, the changes in the sales landscape. There are a lot of market-specific changes with the economy not doing all that well, especially in certain industries and for certain regions, and that heavily impacts the qualification and the whole sales process. At least that's what we see a lot of with our clients. I would love to know how you guys, for your specific businesses, are experiencing this. Do you see differences in how hard it is to get qualified leads, how long it takes to properly push them through the pipeline? Is there anything specific that you have recognized over the last couple of years? Since Maria started before, probably this time, Ben, you can go first.
Yes, obviously we feel that the economy has changed. Like I'd say in general in the market there was no more money like 3, 4, 5 years ago. What we feel is that a lot of companies simply do not have so much money to spend on like new things to try things out. And what we also feel is like, for example, as we are a venture capital finance company, that investors are much more looking on how efficient you use your money, not on growth only, which means like this only affects also affects our own KPIs. For example, like in a mid-market enterprise sector, I would have expected from BDRs like, let's say 6 to 8 sales qualified leads a month. And at the moment, like I am expecting 5 or 4 because we need more focus and we need to be more efficient. And as you said, we try to not have too many deals in the pipeline who take them really long or have no buying urgency or things like that.
So you're saying the efficiency of SDRs, BDRs did decrease over the last couple of years with the changed market conditions? Is that something?
I wouldn't say it decreased. I would say it's more important that they are efficient. Like you could push leads through the pipeline much easier, like some years ago, because there was more money in the market, also in the company. And now you need to look at it much more, not only with the BDRs, but with the whole revenue team. Like CAC payback is now much more important than like average ARR for us, for example.
Oh, that's interesting. Is that take that you would share, Maria?
Yeah, definitely. We also notice a change, of course, in, let's say, the willingness to spend or just budget available from companies. It took us a little longer to feel that hit, let's say, because we work with enterprise customers. So it took them a little longer to actually say, okay, now it's the moment to freeze budgets or to be more careful with our spending. However, the way how we organize ourselves to continue growing, or more than growing, to manage to retain customers, was to use also the BDR unit to, of course, generate new deals with new logos, but also to start working on retaining customers by creating new relationships with those active accounts we already had. So we work a lot. We helped a lot the company retaining those customers by multi-threading within the companies, especially because when this whole economic downturn came and companies started laying off people, it was pretty complicated for direct sales reps to maintain relationships with companies sometimes. So that's when they said, okay, who are the experts into finding new people constantly? So they came to us, and that's how we have been working also with this economic situation. So now our team has this dual responsibility of new logos and working on some expansion deals as well, or cross selling. That's one of the things we did. And the other one, of course, has to do with building or finding relationships that already with customers that already know us or can trust us. So we have done a lot of what we call champion tracking, which means all those prospects that used to work with us in previous companies that now move to another one, either because they were laid off or because their companies changed strategies or they wanted to go to another company. We track them, or we just kind of follow them, and we contact them when they're in their new company, and that has made it easier and has made the sales cycle a little bit shorter when we are able to connect and reconnect with those people. So that's just some of the strategies we've used to work around this whole environment.
That's a very interesting approach. So you're basically avoiding the super cold outreach by reaching out to people at new companies that you, however, already know and that have bought
So
your products in the past. That's fascinating.
yeah, yeah.
Is there any specific way you go about it? I know LinkedIn Sales Navigator, for example, allows for monitor job changes. Is that what you're using to do that?
Yes, so we started doing this way long ago. So we used LinkedIn Sales Navigator as a base, but we also use, for example, our CSAT results and the information we have of our internal platform. So Applause does testing, and we have a large testing community. And we also have the users of that platform from our customer side. So everyone that is more operational and needs to interact with the platform itself, it's also saved in there. So we have, let's say, a large base of contacts that we can just follow and check when they are changing. And then we also collaborate very closely with BI and customer operations, because whenever we realize someone that they know has changed jobs, they also help us doing the introduction or the connection sometimes. So it's really like a company-wide strategy, but BDRs are the ones that ultimately follow up and create the opportunities with those people. I know there is a tool nowadays companies are using to simplify this whole process, which is called GEMS. I learned about it in a meeting, in a meetup we had not too long ago here in Berlin. And I know many companies are starting to use that because it simplifies the whole searching through LinkedIn. And then where do we put that information and how do we notify BDR? So it's connected with the CRM directly, can send notifications, and BDRs can almost live know about prospects that just changed jobs. So
Really, really cool approach.
yeah.
Um, Ben, what are your go-to methods on how to tackle that and avoid the super cold outreach?
Yeah, we're also trying to like use the momentum, but in another way. We are not as good in champion tracking how you are, to be honest. Like I need to write this down. And like we have had several inbounds who are the same way. Yeah, I used Workflex there, and that's why I want to use it again. But we are not so good in tracking it, to be honest. What we are doing is like using tools to see what the momentum on our accounts is. We are working with books of businesses. You can have several approaches how you divide territories, like regional, You can do industries, you can do books, and we have built very distinct books on our ICP, where we have like a green light level ICP, which is in the books. This is the one that is outbounded. We have let's say yellow light. This is the one we accept as inbound, and if it's not in those two buckets, we won't accept it at all, or at least it goes directly to our head of BDR or directly to my table to like see if we want to tackle this at all. And in the books, like in the green accounts, we try to tackle only the ones that have momentum, which means that had enough touch points with us. And what we are using there is, among others, a tool called Dream Data, which is like connecting any dot in HubSpot, LinkedIn, and so on and so on. And what we have seen is, for example, when we outbounded or we thought we like cold outbounded a potential customer, which was in the end a deal, we saw that like in Dream Data, since we have the data, already 6 to 12 months ago, they interacted heavily with our LinkedIn content, with our website, and so on. So basically, they weren't cold at all. And moreover, what we could see is that there are even 600 accounts that could be in our books. We have not even in our CRM system or have not had them, which had similar momentum, like 600 touch points over 12 months or something like that. So we try to not take the cold at all, but really ICP focused and really momentum focused.
That's interesting. How do you factor in proper qualification? I mean, what you just described, I would categorize it as lead scoring. Do you take any additional qualification measurements to ensure that apart from a high lead score, the BDRs are also properly qualifying and disqualifying, therefore, their accounts before investing a lot of time?
Yes, we do. Like for a startup, it's super important to have like, let's say, super strict entry and exit criteria in your CRM, because what startups usually do, like in the first 1 to 3 years, is like, our product is so cool, we try to sell it to everyone, and basically everyone could buy it because it's so super cool. But this is actually a bad idea from my point of view, and it's actually too narrow-minded. Because you can do this like within the very first year, like just check in which industries have we won customer, what were our late stage customers that we haven't won. And this is one of our checkboxes that we even do a discovery call. Is it ICP? Are we talking with at least a champion, which we define maximum below 2 stages below a decision maker? This is how we define a champion. Then there would be a bonus if they have some buying urgency, which is super important, because if they are too early in the funnel, we should nurture them and not having a discovery call with them or a sales call with them. And this is basically what we're doing to even bring them in discovery. And obviously, if they have a pain and they need to write this down, this is a mandatory field. What is the pain like? On what we know on this customer. Not that they have the situation we can sell into, but they actually tell us this is something which is not going good, which is one criteria which is super important. And in the discovery recall, we then even double down on that and say, they need to tell us we want to change this, like really explicitly, we want to change this. We want to make this a project, or this is a project. So we are pretty strict on that, I'd say.
Interesting. Maria, before I hand this question over to you, could you quickly check in the chat box whether the tool that Felix linked there is the tool that you were mentioning, usergems.com?
Yes, that's the one, exactly.
Perfect.
Thanks.
All right, Maria. Ben was just talking a bit about qualification and how they take a very thorough approach there. Well, from your point of view and within your business, is qualification more important than ever?
Yes, definitely. Even though the qualification is mostly done by account executives at my company, our team does what we call the pre-qualification. So we mostly do it, and it starts from way before, when you're just setting up the basis of your business development department, where we segment the accounts and we create portfolios. So BDRs have reduced portfolios. It's less than 100 accounts because it's enterprise accounts. So each hierarchy has a bunch of subsidiaries that they can work on. And we know for sure those are the companies we want to be targeting or working with. So that's the first step, to make sure that they have the right focus, that the portfolio they work on is limited. And then within that portfolio, we have the ICPs as well. So we know which are the personas or the stakeholders within those companies that most often end up buying or connecting us with the buyer, that economic buyer. And that's the other criteria that BDRs use to pre-qualify that this opportunity could be good. Then a lot comes when it comes to research. That's the other point where we make a huge emphasis, making sure that BDRs always have a trigger to reach out to, and a lot of those triggers or research come from the actual statements from the company, the reports, the annual reports, so that we speak to them with the latest goals, with the actual results they've had, and that we speak with the words of their CEO when they say, hey, this is what we're going to aim for. We want to connect our solution with that they want to aim for. And as soon as we have someone that responds and they are interested in our solution, then the BDR will do a pre-qualification call if by the persona, or if there's any kind of question that makes them think, this may not be the right person. And in that call, they would ask more questions about pain, need to change, timeline. Sometimes people are just in the education phase. So it doesn't mean we don't want to talk to them. We always want to talk to them because those are the accounts we are targeting, but we pass on that information to the account executive. So they prepare for that call accordingly, and they know how to prioritize their time or how to approach that call. What's the mindset? Is it going to be a referral call because this is maybe not the right person? Is it going to be early education? This is the right person, but they don't have an urgent need. Or is this going to be a hot lead, someone that I can sell to in the next months? So we approach it more in that way. So we do not necessarily disqualify a lot because all of those companies we want to be talking to, but we invest the right amount of effort or energy into them according to what we discover in the early stages.
Sounds like you're taking the discovery call really, really serious and are willing to invest some serious time as well to get the most out of it. Is there any, because I mean, I know from personal experience, having done quite some cold outreach myself, I know how much time it can take to find the latest business reports, to find the interesting news, those nuggets that not everybody uses in their LinkedIn outreach. Is there any secret that you guys use to still keep it efficient?
What I always tell my team is time block it. Time block the time you want to invest into searching for information of an account, because you can go down a rabbit hole and spend hours and hours and hours. And the more triggers you find, the more they're going to seem all important. So it's just time block it. So it's always 10-15 minute max of research. And most of the time, the very important goals would be at the beginning of the annual reports. And then if there's something you want to dig deeper into, you can just control find. Or now we have ChatGPT and all these AI tools where you can also just plug in the whole report and ask for what are the three main objectives of this company in relation to digital testing, or that digital testing could help with. So there's a lot of learning to prompt in there, and we're doing that exercise as we go. But that is one way how we do. And there we also have another team, which is the sales intelligence team, that can sometimes help us with the research. So they spend the time looking at the information, and they will send us the news that are the most important based on criteria we have shared with them. So they have an engine running, and we just receive those news on our inbox. So sometimes we target an account because we decide we want to start doing research, and sometimes we cover an account because there is a trigger that we receive passively, and then we say, okay, it's the right moment to do that. And this team supports a lot that part of the research so that the team can focus on the outreach more of their time.
Interesting. Ben, Maria just mentioned prompting is a skill that SDRs and BDRs definitely have to learn. From your experience with your team, what are there any skills that SDRs nowadays have to have in their skill set to keep up with the changing conditions? Is there anything particularly where back in the days it was you have to be able to write the perfect email? Nowadays it's X. Is there anything you will point out?
I wouldn't say that there is a skill they need to have, like a new skill they need to have. I would say though they need to be more educated than they used to be, like about our product, about the market. They need to know, like they even know the pillars of our business case, like where to route the customer to find a pain. Like our BDRs are almost as strongly trained as our consultants. Like basically, there's only one stage in depth what consultants are learning about market and our tool, what the BDRs are not learning. I think they need to be more educated so they can have more or deliver more value to us, and also for their own career, as most of them want to be consultants or team leads or head offs. For their own career, it's also good, like to really dive in depth what the company does, what the market does, what the tool can really provide. And I think, like, let's say 7, 8 years ago, BDRs were just like meeting booking machines, and this is not true anymore. Like it is similar, but what they need to deliver is actual value. We even went so far that we put their target down, their monthly target, so they only put valuable meetings in our pipeline, because they said, yeah, but I need to reach 5, 6, 7 whatsoever. That's why I pushed this one. And we went even one further. We have a stage between discovery and SQL that we call need approval. So when the BDR delivers a pain which the consultant AE cannot make to an explicit pain, we park it in need approval, so we can see all of those meetings but didn't develop enough value, or where the consultant could not like provide enough value to like bring it to a demo, which is super important to us. So in general, I would not say like prompting, fair enough. Yeah, we're also doing this. And also their research is pretty strong also in LinkedIn, but I would say they need to be more educated in general.
Interesting. You even adapted the pipeline to fit the new qualification needs.
Yeah.
Both of you already mentioned the topic of urgency and the importance of urgency when it comes to qualification. Maria, do you have any tricks to really get to the foundation of urgency? Any specific question techniques? Any strategies to also create urgency where clients probably do not feel the urgency quite yet?
Yeah, that last one is a tricky one. There is something we started doing not too long ago to create urgency when prospects do not perceive that yet. And that it has to do also with coming to them with something of value already. So as budgets are tighter and let's say the spending criteria are a bit more complicated in the current environment, we decided to be able to give them a taste of what a plus is even before they agree to have a call. So we run a very short cycle. We find some issues because that's what a plus does, right? We find bugs in websites or applications of customer facing companies. And then we come to them and we're like, hey, we were training our community. By the way, that's how we partly train our community. And we found these couple of issues on your website. You may know already about them. We always want to keep it very respectful, right? Because they're not asking us to look into it. So we don't want to come and be, way show off, hey, we found this, you're doing this wrong. But of course, with a lot of tact, this is what we found. We could totally help you find more of those issues or capture them early in the development process. Would you be interested in connecting with us? And then we just take it from there. And I think this is a way how we can create some sense of urgency if it's a bug or an issue they have not found yet, or if it's coming from a country where they didn't know it existed, or from a device they were not aware it was happening to. That on the angle of creating urgency from the prospecting stage. And when it comes to assessing the urgency, it has to do, again, the research goes a long way when it comes to assessing how urgent something is, because sometimes they set up the goals and they say the deadlines by when they want to achieve something. Sometimes that urgency comes from external factors, like now we have the EAA, so the Accessibility Act coming into place, and we do accessibility testing. So we know all companies are urgently trying to look for a solution for that. So we also leverage that. And sometimes we just have to ask them how urgent it is for them. And we do that by checking, for instance, how many people internally have looked into this issue, how many teams are being affected by it. Or the direct question, is there a specific time by which you would envision having this solved. Is there any triggering event or any kind of milestone that this particular issue is tied to? So there are different ways of questioning it. We don't always get a specific answer, but we start to get a sense of how urgent it can be until you reach the right persona, your champion or your decision maker who knows clearly when and how. But I would say that's the ways how we work with urgency creation or assessing.
Interesting. You just mentioned the topic of value content for free upfront without even asking. Ben, I know you are very active on LinkedIn and give a lot of knowledge nuggets away for free there. How do you see the whole topic of I provide value for you for free, no strings attached? Is that something that's more important nowadays where basically every single channel of outreach is very, very noisy these days? Is that a strategy?
Definitely super important nowadays. Like there was a time like in the last 10 years, like 5 years, you could like just do great sales with sales techniques like whatever, medic, spin, sandler, and so on, because the customers were not used to it. They were not used to have a discovery call. They were not used to us asking further questions. But I have the feeling like, especially in the last 3 years, they got a little annoyed by it and they want to get something in return. You cannot just rush in there and ask them, I need 40 questions for you to like have everything I need to check in my CRM. And then I will see if I close the deal. Like this will not happen. You need to grant something in return. What we're doing is providing loads of content with Workflex, not only on Workflex, but for example, on sales. And I have been approached by like now customers directly, which like wrote me, Ben Bauer, we know what you're doing. We want to buy it, like full stop. And which was a company with even more than 3,000 employees, just us providing value for free. Obviously, in the sales process, you need to always provide it for some exchange, but the exchange can also not look like I take 30 question answers and you get nothing. So what we sometimes do, if we see that that this might help us, especially in UK market, because UK usually likes more education than Germany does, for example. Germany is more to the point in that. What we're doing is like providing them with a dedicated page already, like to their needs, and we see like we send them a page with a video. In your industry, we usually see this, and that. Is it the same for you? And we always send a 5-minute demo already, so they have to change to already have this gift before we even talk to them. If they want to see it in the discovery call, like years ago, I would have said, no, never do this. Do your 40 questions discovery call, and then you can show a demo. Nowadays, we are like saying, for example, yeah, of course, I guide you 3 minutes through the tool. Then I would need you maybe to ask some questions to do a proper demo next time. But now it's exchange. They want to have something, and they are going to be annoyed if you just do your sales thingies.
Yeah, makes absolutely sense, and I've seen it again and again. Especially the topic of personal branding of people in leadership roles for companies can work absolute wonders. Is that something, Maria, that you guys are also incorporating?
Yeah, we have some more than leadership. It's like industry experts. So we have someone that manages, for example, the automation practice lead, and he attends a lot of conferences. He speaks a lot about automation, but also applause and in the public space. And the marketing team works close to with him so that he continues to post content and that he becomes kind of a reference for automation testing, not only for the company, but on LinkedIn for a wider audience. And that's one of the, let's say, one of the people that are doing this, but we have others that have developed a different specific voice. This one is automation, somebody is doing it on usability, we do it more by testing solution. So yes, we also invest some time into that social space.
You just mentioned the marketing department, because from my experience, if you approach your employees and say, hey, could you start building a personal brand for our business? All they hear is, yeah, sounds like a lot of work on top of what I already do. What's the engagement with the marketing team, not just for personal branding, but also when it comes to this topic of giving content for free or in exchange for non-monetary value, like answered questions? Do you guys closely work with your marketing team together on that? And prepare or request from the marketing team specific content for specific use cases?
Definitely. Yeah, we work super close. Like I have a weekly sync with my marketing team, and we discuss in that sync a lot of different initiatives. Some of those which are asking for content or asking for certain formats of content so that we can leverage it and share it in prospection. So we do that. The direct sales team does the same according to what they hear in their discovery calls or demo meetings that customers are asking about, that they are interested in, that they are concerned with. And so we start creating some content around those topics. It can be in the form of blogs, it can be the form of webinars or ebooks, depending on how deep or how large is the topic. But yes, we do request this. And when it comes to personal branding, a while ago, marketing launched just let's say a campaign asking for people that wanted to build a personal brand, and that's how they knew that the person that were reaching out to them were people that were actually interested and ready to invest the time and effort it would take to build that, and those are the people they are supporting with content. So usually they just support more into like the, let's say, how will they revamp the LinkedIn profile, which kind of content types they will be sharing, if it's shareable bits or if it's longer content. They help writing down the posts maybe. So they do invest a little bit of time, but there is like shared effort on that angle. Also the person that wants to be a voice, a top voice, invest time into doing that. And we also coordinate a lot of the BDR initiatives, like attending events. I was mentioning to you earlier, we attend a lot of conferences and events, and we do decide on that plan for events together based on the budget we have from marketing and the past event results that we keep track of. And then we realize, okay, these are the events that yielded the most results. And this is how we want to attend this time, with a booth, without a booth, with a talk track, with a workshop, just tickets because it's the first time we attend and we don't want to invest too much yet. So we do all of that planning together with the marketing team, and then all the tracking of the results after, of course, also done with marketing team.
So
That's one of our biggest areas.
alignment of marketing and sales initiatives more important than ever to really enable SDRs, BDRs to do a good job.
Absolutely.
Agreed or no agree, Ben? I mean, it's hard not
Absolutely
to
agree.
agree.
How should I say no there? No, actually, I think this should have been always important, but like we were working in silos for a long time. This is marketing, this is BDRs, this is partner, this is customer success. In Workflex, we love to have it as a revenue team. We do not have only sales team meetings, but revenue team meetings where all of them are in it. We also have a weekly meeting, which is called Delicious Data, where we like just look at the data, where marketing is in it, sales leaders are in it, sales operations is in it, and we are looking, okay, what can we do? How can we foster this? What can we do together? Which case studies maybe are needed, for which industries, for which use cases? We are working super closely, and to be honest, I'm super proud of our marketing team because they have never worked with a strong one as in Workflex. Really, really cool. They're providing us with content like on a 2-day basis, I'd say. Even for LinkedIn, you can post this and post this, and still we have the freedom to do it ourselves. And there's anyway this ongoing discussion if BDRs are more in the marketing team or more in the sales team. And like basically both is kind of right, because they help marketing like to create the funnel, to make it warmer and so on. And they help the sales team like when it's down the funnel, when they have buyer intent already, to convert this into actual pipeline, just as marketing does with their nurturing. So it makes totally sense to put it all together and find the synergies there. And I'm super proud of how we're doing it in Workflex, actually.
Nice. Congrats on breaking down the walls. We still see this in a lot of companies where this silo thinking is still very present. And as you said, it should never have been that way. But unfortunately, that's how it is in a lot of companies out there. And yeah, it's making life harder than it has to be for both sides, marketing as well as sales. On the note of enabling BDRs, SDRs, both of you are, I'm pretty sure, fantastic leaders in your teams. What do you think is absolutely crucial for sales leaders to do these days to make the life of a BDR and SDR as easy and efficient as possible? Maria, probably you first.
All right. I think one of the things that I've learned through the time being a manager or a director is that you need to have a feedback culture. We have clear goals from the company. We know what the company needs to achieve, and we need to understand also what the team needs in order to achieve those goals. We can have ideas, but I think we always need to understand from the team what do they actually feel they are lacking or they're in need of. So that's one of the things that has helped me the most, to be able to connect the business goals with our department initiatives, to keep this open feedback culture and this growth mindset. So that understanding that we give criticism or constructive feedback, and that's to help BDRs grow. So this is one of the things, and the other one is very specific. Feedback that I get from them on things that they would like to try, on tools that they found, on events they want to attend. So we do a lot of our research, but we pair it with whatever they also encounter, and many times it's amazing ideas that they have. So I would say that's one of the things that I do most often. And then when it comes to training, making sure that it's regular also. So the BDR job can become very monotonous. It can become very like repetitive. And we as leaders, we need to create a sense of growth even within the same role over the year or over the years that they stay in the role, and we can only achieve that if they keep learning new things. So we need to continuously train them, and there is a lot of sources for training. It can be changes in the market, like we were talking with the economic downturns, or well, COVID took place. It can be changes in the industries that the VDRs are working on, changes in product. Company may be developing new things and then we want to train them on that, or changes on prospecting strategies. Maybe we want to try out something new. Now we have this whole AI piece that we all want to start finding a way to use. So I think the fact that it's continuous and that it's very practical, not just me talking, but actually having them doing, more in a workshop setup, more in a case study kind of setup, followed up by different sessions of actually practicing and doing what we said we want to start doing. That's one of the most important things. And having the team share with each other the knowledge as well, creating those spaces where they can share, this worked for me last week, this did not work for me also. I think that's as valuable, so that nobody else loses time doing it. And having those spaces where they can also share with each other, that's super important. They love it. Everybody likes to teach or share with others what's going well, and it creates this collaboration environment also, that it's really really positive for growth. So few
Absolutely.
thoughts on it.
The culture and ongoing coaching and training is super important. Ben, would you add anything to that?
I think as a leader, not only sales leader in general, the biggest misassumption is you know everything better than a 30 people team. You know, some of us have lots of self-esteem, esteem. I have as well, and are proud of what they have achieved. But it's a super crazy misassumption that you know things better than 30 other people. You know some things better, you can set them guidelines. But for example, I would never tell them these are our 10 new personas. I tell them a list of 30 people I think they could be. Then I ask them, add some. Then I ask ChatGPT, can you add some similar titles? And then I ask them, out of these 50 now, what are the 10 you would like to tackle? Like, this is super important to really have this open culture, feedback culture, and also your failure culture. This is super important to me, actually. And we even have meetings like in the end of the week. We have a wrap up where we basically tell our highlight, our low light of the week, one learning and one praise to a person. And it's super important that we also can tell lowlights. I go in there and say, yeah, attendance this week in this or that meeting, I was disappointed. And they can do as well. They can write me directly or our sales leaders directly. I was not happy with this or that. And we also try to encourage them to try out things, like really trial and error. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I think the most important thing is to not like sit them on my Ben Bauer sales methodology rail and they are just going there, but putting them on the street, setting a guideline here, setting a guideline here, so they do not get off track, and now they can drive how they want and how fast they can be because they are different.
Absolutely. I think that's a trap that everybody falls in throughout their career, forgetting that other people speak to clients and prospects on a daily basis, while oneself's probably not that often anymore. And the information desync definitely hurtful if not taken in consideration properly. Great. Let me quickly check since we're running slowly but surely out of time. Quite fascinating to see how fast 45 minutes can pass with a good conversation. One big topic, especially nowadays, where it got quite hard. Ben, you mentioned before that your SDRs, BDRs are almost on the level, if not on the level of consultants. But what are the big qualities that you're looking out for when thinking about hiring a new SDR or BDR, Ben?
Actually, it's something I've heard from another sales leader at Artist Circus last year, and one I value pretty much, the VP sales of Personio, Oliver Manolovic. And he said something that opened my eyes, like hiring will over skill. And I have done this failure pretty much. Like I looked for the most talented people, most eloquent, most in communication, but haven't checked enough what are their drivers. Have they ever read a sales book? Have they ever done something which was really painful? And now in our BDRs, we are looking pretty much for drive, because we can, to a certain extent, we can teach them the skill. I cannot make an A player out of a D player, let's say. But if they do not want to be an A player, I cannot even make an A player out of a B player, which is a problem if I would love to have A players. So that's why, like, my foremost guideline is hiring will over skill.
Great, Maria, what would you add? You've been a BDR yourself many years back. Obviously a good one, otherwise you wouldn't be where you are right now. What is your take on hiring?
I would echo Ben so much of the will over skill. That's perfect. Like that's literally what I also follow, and I totally agree on that. And I think something we learn as leaders over time, because it's easier to go with the safety that having a skill already on your resume gives than trusting your gut or trusting your first impression on the will of that person. um, so that's for sure one that I also support. And the other one would be growth mindset. I think that's extremely important, because somebody with a growth mindset would be open for feedback and would be willing to apply it. So actually it's someone that may be even asking for it, and not only from the manager. I don't think that's the only source, but from colleagues, from people in other departments, which could be the AEs or could be people in customer operations. So having someone that continuously wants to grow and develop goes a very long way. That's usually also the people that are very career driven and oriented, and they will work hard for that next step they want to get to. So that would be the other aspect. And I think it's important to check that it's someone that feels comfortable working with specific goals or targets. Oftentimes people can not have a very clear idea of how um, sales are tracked, and it needs to be someone that it's comfortable working with a very specific goal, with KPIs, with having a lot of visibility of their work given to other people. So that's also something super important, and that want to be quick learners also, that they want to um, quickly start working on things, that they have this energy and this willingness to get going fast. I think that's important for us too.
Absolutely. The tricky part here comes, as a sales leader, you have to be a little bit brave to put away the perfect sales resume and go for the person that you have a good gut feeling with, right?
Oh yeah, that's a big bet, but it pays off often.
In sales, often we have to be brave. Great. To close this whole webinar, first of all, obviously, thank you guys for showing up. I think it was a very insightful and great conversation we had. I have one last question to both of you, a pretty quick one and more of a personal one. I'm going on vacation a couple of weeks, and I always bring at least 2 books on vacation. Any recommendations for a good sales book that you would give to me? Ben, Maria?
I have even one lying here on the table, which is Funky Flywheels by Björn Schäfer. Great book.
Great book. It was sold out for a long time, I've seen, but I'll check again if it's back in stock.
Yeah, the English one is out soon.
The English one is out soon. Perfect. Maria, do you have one that you personally would recommend to anyone?
Martin, I'm having a bit of issues with my internet, so I couldn't hear properly the question. Was it which book to bring on a trip, from what Ben was saying?
which book I should bring on my next upcoming vacation to read about sales and not forget everything over 2 weeks.
To read about sales. I think there's one I actually have here, which is not necessarily about sales, but I think it's applicable a lot to sales, and especially if someone in leadership. And it's this one called Cues. It's a lot about body language and how to sell with the way how you move or the tone of your voice and so on. Um, I found it very insightful. I read it not too long ago. It's about how to have charismatic communication. And I think it goes a long way with customers or teams or other stakeholders within a company. So yeah, I would recommend that one. Find it interesting and a bit less theoric, more, let's say, practical. So
Perfect.
that would be
Then
my
your
recommendation.
vacation is planned through. Sounds good. Thanks, guys, for your input and thanks for the great conversation. Have a
Thank
nice
you as
day.
well.
Bye
Very
bye.
nice to be here. Bye.
Bye.